freaking first cut. Golly.
Well, what's going on, YouTube? Max Homa gets it done, wins the Wells Fargo Championship, and we are about to break it all down. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed. We'll jump into it right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and round 4 at the Wells Fargo Championship in the books. Max Homa adds another victory to the resume. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, it has been an unbelievable sporting weekend. It's not quite over yet, but Max Homa wins here in Maryland.
That part is over, and it was really fun to watch. I really enjoyed this golf course. I enjoyed this tournament. It was, I mean, yesterday was a little bit of a slog, but it was quite interesting. I really liked watching this golf course.
Kyle Porter is here. KP, we got the Max double, Homa Verstappen. We got the friend of the pod double. Max Homa wins on the PGA Tour. Brent Grant wins on the Corn Ferry Tour. It's been, we had an 80-1 shot win the Kentucky Derby. This is like my favorite sporting weekend ever.
I was gonna say we need to get the pony on the pod next.
reach out to his people.
Did you see that horse trying to attack the other horse?
That was the most outrageous. Like the 20 seconds from the sprint where that horse just separated itself at the end to, I guess, taking down the pony next. No prisoners out there for Rich Strike.
I was trying to think of a golf like example of that happening, what's the word I'm looking for? Metaphor?
Sure.
Yeah,
it's not a simile, right? That's something different.
Yeah, like something in golf happening similarly. And the best I could come up with is like I didn't tweet this out, but like Scotty Scheffler walking to the green jacket ceremony and getting punched in the face by an Augusta National member or something.
It would be Scotty Scheffler punching a Augusta National member.
No, because the guy on the horse was trying to punch the horse. It was like the steward of the Derby trying to punch the winner of the Derby.
The guy on the pony was like gouging the eyes out of the now like most valuable horse on planet Earth.
I could not stop laughing as that was happening. I was like, I need to write a normal sport for horse racing because this is unbelievable. My wife picked that horse, by the way.
I was actually surprised that not more people that there wasn't a ton of payouts on it, because I would have thought that a bunch of people would have looked at the odds, Greg, saw 80-1 and threw $10 on it. You know what I mean? Like I thought people would have done that. Apparently that did not happen. But I would have thought when I saw that was an 80-1 winner, I was like, holy crap! I bet you like everybody's got a ticket on this.
Yeah, well, you think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. If you don't follow the sport until the Kentucky Derby, and now all of a sudden you do, and you're looking at numbers. I mean, what else do you go on? You got to take some long shots, unless you've been really following some of the favorites. I would expect a lot of small wagers on that as well.
But this is what we talked about. Like you have to be we were just talking about this off air. You have to be a betting moron kind of to do that, right?
Yes.
Right, but that's why you expect the small wagers.
Yes.
Because you just, okay, I'm going to have a little
People
fun.
like
it's
us.
the Derby.
Yeah.
I don't be like somebody who doesn't really follow golf looking at the odds board for the PGA and just,
do you know who's 80-1
numbers?
I looked it up.
No, I looked up who was 80-1 on Saturday for this event. I did not look to the PGA Championship though.
So PGA, it was some interesting names. It was Ricky Fowler.
Wow.
It was Siwoo Kim.
Ooh.
It was Max Homa.
He won't be tomorrow.
It was Keegan Bradley.
he will still be tomorrow. Yeah.
It was Sergio. It was Harris English. It was Billy Horschel. So not like the horse racing people acted like, somebody just preposterous won the Derby. Those guys would not be like if Max Homa or Keegan Bradley wins the PGA. That's not like Rich Strike winning the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
what do you think the field size has to do with that?
Yeah, that's
you got 20 horses versus 156 golfers.
right.
David in the chat says, in honor of the Derby, do we have the last winner on tour who was an alternate? So because Rich Strike didn't even get into that field until Saturday morning, Friday night. Now I guess we'd have to define how this works. I mean, Nate Lashley was an alternate when he got in on Wednesday night and won, right?
Yeah. At the Rocket Mortgage.
Went wire to wire.
Was he an alternate?
He had to.
Oh, because he didn't Monday. Yeah. He tried to Monday qualify and didn't.
Did not Monday qualify. Somebody withdrew Wednesday night and he got in.
It's a good pull there.
Corey Connors did Monday qualify. I don't think that counts though. I think you've got to be an actual alternate.
Well, but I would argue that the alternates are higher up than the Monday qualifiers, right?
Because it's guy like 135th in the order of merit instead of
versus
any random person who could qualify.
Yeah. Do you have to be you couldn't go qualify, Rick? I mean, even if you were good enough.
Yes, I could. Why not? Can I
really?
just pay my
there's a pre-qualifier.
No.
There's a pre-qualifier.
Okay. So how many pre-qualifiers are there? Just one?
Yeah, one. There's a pre-qualifier and then the Monday qualifier. The pre-qualifier is usually at a different golf course. I mean, then even the Monday qualifier. So you kind of got to go around a couple places.
So if I was dirty, I could pay my $600 or whatever it is to go play the pre-qualifier, get into the Monday qualifier, win that, or get in that and play a PGA Tour event with zero status anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if your normal scoring average is 60.5, you have a chance. I mean, you got to shoot nothing to get into those things. It's insane.
You could turn in your 9-hole score. See if that was if that was enough.
Just try to sneak it by.
I love that Max Homa wins, and we're talking about Monday qualifiers 7 minutes into this broadcast.
We're getting there, Max. We're getting there. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I've never had more fun on a weekend. That's probably not true, but I really enjoyed this. And the fact that Max Homa gets the job done, wins for the 4th time on the PGA Tour. He is just so incredibly likable. I thought he was as impressive could be. Greg, I'll start with you because we talked earlier in the week, and I guess it was last night, and we were like, Max Homa looks great. He looks dialed in.
Yeah.
He looks unflappable. He looks like nothing's going to bother him. He's going to win this golf tournament. I was so impressed, and I just love that he pulled it off.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was. It didn't look like he was worried. Yeah. It looked like he was just kind of going about his business, which is what you hope. And especially in our business, on the betting side of things, we look at data and analytics, and this is the thing that the data can't predict, at least at this point. What's going to happen when you get in the mix? What's going to happen when you make a bogey and there's a 2-shot swing going against you? How will you handle that? And you expect Max Homa to hit the ball nicely and hit great shots like he's been doing all week, and he did. And you expect him, when he has a great putting week, to step up and perform and contend. I mean, I was looking on your site earlier, Rick, because we've had so many discussions about how when he putts well, he performs. Yeah. And he has, in his career now, this is his 11th event with over 4 strokes gained putting. And it's now 4 wins, 4 of 11. It was 3 of 10 heading into today. And he gained 9 strokes putting this week. So you have that again where his putting gets hot, like he said in his interview, and he wins. And that, to me, is a really big testament of what you do emotionally, how you handle yourself down the stretch. It's one thing to get there. It's one thing to get in contention, but closing the door is another. And he did a beautiful job today.
I go back to Thursday and Friday, KP, when everybody's routine in the rain changed except Max Homa's. I swear you'd never know he's from Southern California because it looked like he was a mutter. It looked like this was just another day on the golf course. He had the same routine with Joe Griner every single shot all week long, and it felt inevitable that he was going to grind out this victory. That's the way I felt on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, didn't we talk about him on Thursday?
I'm sure we did.
We talked about
all week. It was just like we talked about him on Monday. We talked about him on Tuesday. Then he was impressive on Thursday and Friday. It was like he's got to win this golf tournament.
We talked about how good he's been this season. And I think I saw you tweeting about this. I was tweeting about it as well. His trajectory has been great on the PGA Tour over the last 8 years, but he's made a leap this year from being like a top 40 type ball striker to being like a top 10 ball striker. And we're only halfway through the season, so maybe that's unsustainable. But the way he's playing right now, he's going to be on the American team, like at the team events. I think the next thing for him, I talked about this after he won Safeway. Was it Safeway? Fortnite? Whatever that tournament's called.
Yeah.
I actually have forgotten that it's not called Fortnite. I like in my head, I just like I wasn't making a joke. I was legitimately calling it Fortnite. He's normalized winning to the point that it's not a novelty that he wins on the PGA Tour anymore. Remember when he won in 19 at Quail Hollow and you're like, oh my gosh, the Twitter guy won a tournament.
The Twitter guy's also good at golf.
And now he's won 3 of his last 30 and you're like, oh, like he wins a lot. I mean, the guy, he's won more over the last 2 years or since the start of 2021 than Rory, Spieth, DJ, Xander, Brooks, Bryson. I mean, you should go down the list of guys that he has won more than. Now, I think the next thing for him, and he would probably say this too, you got to contend in a major. He hasn't really done that. I think he doesn't have any top. I don't think he has a top 25 in a major championship yet. So that'll be a big deal for him coming up next. But I love guys he's not a prodigy. He's not what's the word I'm looking for? Like you don't think he's going to be like an all-time
superstar, world beater,
virtuoso. He's not a virtuoso, but I'm almost more impressed by the endurance that it takes to become this kind of guy 8 years into your career where you have to grind out these seasons where you're getting incrementally better than I am with guys like Morikawa and Rory who just start off at that top 5 or top 10 level.
His best finish in a major is a T40 at the 2021 Open Championship.
Not good.
Not good at all. But we're going to celebrate Max Homa today. And Greg, I mean, it's not just the stats that back it up. When we had him on the podcast, he was just like, yeah, I just try to get better every day. I try to just get a little bit better every single day. And I know guys say that, but it actually aligns with the stats. And now the wins are coming. It's like, yeah, just get a little bit better every day. I love it.
The really interesting thing about him to me is he was on this show on Sirius XM and it was like kind of a long form interview. And he talked about what major he thinks he would have the best chance to contend in. And he said the Open because of the weather. And you don't always see this out there. You're watching shot tracers and you're watching guys week in and week out. And he talked about how he really likes to move the ball around. He likes to play shots. He feels like when the weather gets worse, he gets in his own little bubble. And it was, I actually heard it this week. I think it was an old interview, but I heard it this week heading into it. And it played out perfectly. And you see the stats, what he says, like you're saying, Rick, everything plays out the way he talks about it. And it shows. It's really cool. He just continues to chip away and improve. You can tell he works at it. There's always something that he and Mark Blackburn are working on that actually comes true in the tournaments. They're working on their wedge play, and he gets up and down, working on the putting. He has a hot putting week. They made this great swing change, and you've seen his ball striking continue to improve. So he set his mind to improving certain areas. And his emotions are a big one in that, maybe the biggest, but everything he sets his mind to improve seems to work. Now, maybe it's like the better who has, 40 tickets in a week and hits on one of them, but I don't get that sense. I think he really, they hit their targets. And when they go down a path, it leads to success. And that's a sign to me that it's going to continue because he's so unassuming. I don't think he's going to, be affected by his success in a negative way.
I'm looking through this scorecard on Sunday, KP. Was there a highlight which is not even a knock against Max Homa. He shot a 2 under 68. I can't remember a specific shot. I just remember that him and Joe Griner would figure out their number, and then Griner would say, give yourself a birdie putt, which just means like hit the green. Just hit the green. You're not trying to bite off more than you can chew. And around TPC Potomac on a very difficult week, like that's plenty.
But I thought what was interesting is he had that run. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he had that run on the second 9 where okay, here, I've got it now. Let's see here. So final round. So he missed the green on 11. He missed the green on 12. He missed the green on 13. And he really kept himself in it by making all those par putts, right? Okay. Producer Jacob has it pulled up on Data Golf here. He struck the ball really well this week and all season, but it was, I mean, I think his putting on Sunday was kind of what carried the day. What was his? Oh yeah. So 2.5 strokes gained putting, and everything else was pretty average, right? That to me, I was blown away by how many greens he was missing. And then his ability to get up and down and keep himself in it. And then he kind of cruised late in the day where he started hitting more greens. And like you said, giving himself, I thought 18 was kind of emblematic of that, just giving himself a 25-foot par putt and lagging it birdie putt, and then lagging it and making par. But he really kept it together in the middle there with a 9-foot birdie, a 7-foot birdie, a 4-foot birdie, where any one of, par, where any one of those could have upended his round and given Keegan an advantage.
I do think there were some highlights in the golf swing, but in the position he's in the tournament, it affects the target you choose. So he wasn't in a position where he had to flag it necessarily. But you think about the shot he hit on 17, the tee shot he hit on 18, and there are a number of these where what I see is a guy that can aim down the left-hand side of a hole and make a swing, an aggressive swing, and know it's not going to go left. And you see him on the left edge of a number of these fairways, and they're not pulls. They're just, you aim there, you try to fade it, and it doesn't fade as much as you think. But that's the strategy of the game. And it takes a lot of trust in your swing to be able to do that. Where, the one on 17 where there's a penalty area to the right, and he hits a perfect iron shot, makes a beautiful golf swing, and it's 30 feet, but it's right where he's looking, and it doesn't fade. And so there's no risk of trouble. And 18 is the same thing. Aims down the left side, rips a tee shot. It hangs in there pretty straight, and ends up going 322 yards, and it makes the hole easy. So I think there were some big swings that he was able to make, even though he did have a couple of rough patches, as Kyle mentioned.
4 wins, KP. 4 wins, twice a victor at the Wells Fargo Championship, 1 at TPC Potomac, 1 at Quail Hollow, obviously the victory at Riviera. Is it really just a question of major championships now? Like what is the other non-major trajectory for Max Homa? Can he win 1.5 times a year, but then that's only going to create more of these situations where we ask about majors? Like where do we go from here?
I think that's a great question. And as we were talking here, I'm like, can Max Homa get to 10 wins in his career? Like, what do you guys think? Can Max Homa get to 10 wins?
10's a lot.
It's so many.
Six more.
But, okay, other side of it, he's the best he's ever been right now. And seemingly maybe still getting better. And also, it's not like he went from gaining a stroke a round to 2 strokes per round, and that's kind of like the top end of what the big boys are doing. If he does, there is still room for him to improve compared to his peers.
I guess he's 31 years old right now. He's playing the best that he's played, they're great points, but that typically doesn't continue, right? There tend to be lulls in a career. And so how long can you just keep picking off these wins where the putter gets hot, where all of a sudden you're going to have a hot putting weekend, it leads to a win? Like, how many of those are in his game? And I think that's a really hard question. That putter shows up a little bit and gets a little less if his floor can raise on the greens, then I think he'll have a lot more chances, because then he'll be able to contend without having a great putting week. And you're not wasting a great putting week just to get into contention. I don't know. I feel like 10's a lot, but he looks good. I don't know how sustainable it is. This is kind of a peak.
So his comps on Data Golf are Daniel Summerhays, David Toms, Bryony Baird, Lynn Matisse, Matt Jones, Chris DeMarco, and Charlie Hoffman. I think David Toms has 10 wins, 11 wins.
He's getting the shaft on those comps. He's better than a lot of those guys.
But David Toms is the only one of these guys that post age 31, his trajectory continued to go up, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a fair assessment to this point that this is what his comps are. But if you continue to follow the Toms path, I think he could. I don't think he will win 10 times, but I think that I think he could. I think another interesting question is, what does he have to do to have a better career than Fowler? I think Fowler is a good kind of baseline, not baseline, but a good litmus test for Homa of if you can have a better career than him, that's a really good career.
Yeah. Well, you got to make some Ryder Cup teams. Some President's Cup teams, right?
Contend in some majors. I will read real quick. I want to read this quote from Rory. Rory got asked about Homa after Rory's round today, and he said he's way too good a player. He got asked about Homa losing his card early in his career. He said he's way too good a player to lose his card. He's a really good player. Honestly, when you look at him play, you think he should have done better than he has. Yikes. I think that's sort of
compliment, but also not.
Yes. I think that's sort of how he looks, how he swings it, his whole demeanor. Sometimes it just takes guys a little bit longer to sort of figure out their games and I guess live up to their potential. But he definitely seems to have come into his own over the last couple of years. So yeah, that's a nice endorsement.
It is very nice. But I think a lot of that has to do with the swing work that he's done, right? This golf swing has changed. And that's why you've seen the consistent results. He's gotten some really good technical work in with Mark Blackburn, and it has become easy for him. And you listen to those guys talk about it. He was trying to do things with his body, with his swing that he can't do. And Rory's swing is as natural as it gets, right? Yeah. And so it was almost like he was born with this, and there wasn't the need for. In fact, the technical work, you could argue, hurt Rory. And so Max Homa had to go and build these foundational blocks that I don't think Rory had to build. So just I wonder if that has any effect on Rory's perspective. I don't think it's as simple as figuring out his game. He had to he kind of had to make his game what it is. So if you consider that figuring it out, that's one thing, but he's definitely figured a lot of things out.
Love it. Exciting Sunday. Max Homa, hat tip to you. 4-time winner on the PGA Tour. We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. We are going to continue this conversation, but first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Keegan Bradley. Gentlemen, if you would have told me on Wednesday that Keegan Bradley would have gained, I don't know, what it ends at 9.5 strokes putting, 9 strokes putting this week, I would have emptied the bank account and put an outright wager on Keegan Bradley. He ends up finishing in that logjam runner-up position thanks to a 2 over 72. Things kind of got out of hands for Keegan on the 11th hole KP. That's where he made double. He also had another double on number 2, but he battled back from that one. He didn't have his best stuff today. Made a couple big numbers.
No, he didn't. And I think there was I don't know if you guys talked about this on Saturday night. I talked about it a little bit on HQ, where there was a path that Keegan was putting really well through 54 holes. And, he's a great ball striker. And so it wasn't inconceivable that he could kind of keep up the way he was playing. And, he was 4 better than everybody in the field except for Homa. And so it wasn't inconceivable that he could keep that up and maybe run away and hide with this. But it just, and I I didn't see his final strokes gained putting number on Sunday, but it just felt like, man, he's putted it great through 54 holes. How's this going to go over the final 18? And I actually was impressed with the way he bounced back after that early start and just to stay in it. He's kind of one of those guys that he's just a pro. Like you don't, he's not like a superstar. I think we kind of maybe thought he would be early on, but he's just a solid pro. He's not going to go away. He's not going to give up. He's not going to give in. So that provided, I thought, a nice kind of fight with Homa throughout the day. But yeah, he didn't, I didn't think he had his best stuff ball striking, honestly, throughout the week. And that, I guess that showed a little bit, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, he gained about 9/10 of a stroke with the putter on Sunday, 9.7 with the flat stick for the week, led the field.
Yeah.
Putting, which is probably a sentence I've never said before.
He was just saving. So, I mean, he basically did what Homa did on Sunday earlier in the week, where he's saving these par putts, saving these bogey putts, and just giving him it almost like overinflated his score to the point where you see somebody up 4 on the field other than Homa going into Sunday, and you're like, oh, he must be playing great. He was playing good, but he wasn't playing at a clip where you're like, oh, he's definitely going to win the tournament.
Yeah, I actually thought he had some bigger moments. He drives 14, 2 putts for birdie. He stuffs one at 16. Greg makes the putt for birdie to keep him alive. He had the fist pump moments that I'm not sure Max Homa did, but he also had the 2 doubles that offset all of that hard work.
This is exactly what we talked about last night, right? He is a competitor, and as Kyle said, he's not going to give in. And so when he gets near the lead, he plays well. He gets into the competition, and it doesn't matter how he's feeling. He didn't get lost in what's wrong with my golf swing. He said, how am I going to get back in this tournament? Rattles off 3 birdies and 4 holes or something on the front 9. And it looks like, okay, wow, here comes Keegan until 11. And the disappointing thing with him, and this didn't happen with Homa. I think there are their profiles are very similar, Keegan and Homa, but Keegan ball striking didn't hold up. And, we thought to have a great putting day. Gaining nearly 9/10 of a stroke putting could have been enough for Keegan very easily. If you look at what he typically does tee to green, you might expect that to be enough. But it was the ball striking, a couple of loose shots. His swing was out of sync early. He was a little quick early. And then you got to find your rhythm again, and then you got to hang on to it and hope that that's where you get into that quick fix kind of feeling with your golf swing, and it gets really hard for that to last sometimes. So you see, okay, it works for these 4 holes. I give myself great birdie putts, but then the real problem comes back at 11, and so it was it was much more difficult for him, where Homa was much more level with his tee to green play. Get though he missed some greens for a stretch, he seemed very, very level emotionally. And Keegan isn't that way. He can get up really. He can get really high. He can get up, and he can get down too. But it was that out of sync start, and the I guess lack of trust that gave his ball striking.
Yeah, I completely agree with those sentiments there. A couple other guys here in the runner-up position. Cam Young, KP, 4 under 66. How about this kid? He's the rookie of the year. He's got to be just absolutely phenomenal. Could not make a putt to save his life. Many cracks inside 6-8 feet. Lost 2.5 strokes for the week. One of the rounds was he lost 5 strokes putting. Unfortunate, but man, you can see how bright the future appears to be for Cam Young.
Yeah, he led the field in strokes gained tee to green by almost a stroke and a half a round, which is
by five total strokes.
That's outrageous.
That's the same gap between Kurt Kitayama and Danny Lee. Well, Danny Lee missed the cut. Maybe that's not fair. Matthew Neesmith, who finished 31st. So that's lapping the field.
Cam Young's going to make the Tour Championship. He's having a tremendous year, and it's flown under the radar because he played great at Riviera, but all the attention is on Neiman. He's played great in some spots, but he hasn't won. He's having a really, really good year. And I don't know. I haven't dug deeper on his stats. Is he just generally a terrible putter? Like, is that
No, he's
no. He's a good. I mean, he's a good putter and a good driver. And his short game, if you ask him, his short game is his biggest weakness. I think statistically, it might be his approach the green game.
Well, he's been hitting some. I mean, he's been pretty good in terms of approach shots so far this year.
Yeah. I know he doesn't. His ranking isn't great. I can check on the official one, but I mean, you would say just looking at his profile, he's a great driver and a very good putter. But putting seems to slip the last couple of weeks.
I feel like every time I looked up today, he was hitting one to 7 feet, 5 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet.
Yeah, you were. This does not include this week, but I mean, he's positive in every category. He's third off the tee, or at least was entering the week.
Right.
99th around the green, 104th on approach, and 100th in putting. But he's a positive in all of those, but they're just like, so he's amazing off the tee and a little bit better than tour average everywhere else.
I think the other thing, he's only 24. He looks like he's like 34 because of the beard and everything. Strong. So I think he gets a little bit of a shaft in terms of like he's not as good obviously as like Scheffler and Hovland and those guys, but he's in their age category, right? And to have a year like that at age 24 in this era of the PGA Tour is really impressive.
Yeah, that he's not as good as those guys. Changes quickly if he wins a PGA championship or something.
Yeah,
because he has that what he can do with the driver is an elite skill set. And I've always thought that the guys who are elite at something, right, the best driver of the ball, like John Rahm, has a great chance of getting to world number one because you're the best at something. Where the Schauffele's and the Cantlays seem to have a harder time getting there with kind of not the best at anything, but very good at everything. So, I mean, his distance is an elite skill set, and a big win could really change the perception of Cam Young, in my opinion.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the week. When you are perceived as a one-trick pony, but then you start doing it at a bunch of different golf courses, that is scary stuff, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, it's sort of like being an NBA player who is like the best 3-point shooter in the league, that even if you're average at the other stuff, you're going to be pretty good, right?
Right.
That's kind of what you're saying, right, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it all of a sudden you have a great rebounding game, and it's a hard.
Yeah, I was gonna. Here you go with this one, Greg.
Yeah,
I was so excited for where that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have a great rebounding game. Maybe you find yourself in path for a triple double. I didn't know where you were going.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a great one. You end up with a triple double, or you have a year where you rack up a couple more assists a game, and all of a sudden you make the
All NBA,
the All NBA team. Something like that. But you look at what this is for Cam Young. It's a T2 at the Sanderson Farms, a T2 at the Genesis, a T3 at the RBC Heritage, a T2 at
those are
TPC Potomac. Very
crazy different courses.
Yeah. And that says a lot to me. He's not a one-trick pony, right? I mean, the RBC Heritage, and he's a bomber. And he comes in tied third at the RBC Heritage. And here, I mean, I didn't think this would be a bomber's golf course per se. And it hasn't been in the past. So very, very high quality stuff from him.
I didn't realize I needed to hold your hand walking down that NBA analogy, right?
Yeah.
There, Greg.
You can hold my hand if you want to.
We're a good team here. We'll figure it out. Matty Fitzpatty, 3 under 67. I don't think I have much to say about him, KP. He was great. When things get hard, he's great. Finish a couple of shots short. It's an awesome finish. Kind of. What he could do this week.
So two things. One, the two things that I get the most irrationally frustrated with are Kevin Streelman's glasses on the back of his head and Fitzpatrick leaving the pin in when he putts. There's no reason for me to get mad. There's no reason for me to have like anger about those things, but I do. And I don't totally know why. I might need counseling. The second is like Fitzpatrick, kind of like Fleetwood 3 years ago, needs to win, right? He needs to like get a PGA Tour win. I don't know. I feel like he's a good player. I'm not disputing that. He's won on the European Tour. He's won all over the world. He's won a U.S. Amateur. But like, there's just something about, and listen, we said this about Scheffler literally 5 months ago. There's something about like breaking through and winning that is really meaningful. And until he does that, I just kind of, I don't know. I don't look at him in the same way that I look at guys of his caliber that have won on the PGA Tour, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a weird I don't know, Greg. It's hard to assess him accurately, I think. I don't think he gets enough credit for as good as he is, but I tend to agree with Kyle that I'd like to see a victory at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's third on the PGA Tour right now. I mean, not including this week in strokes gained total, which is, I mean, pretty kind of a big deal. He was first for a while, and then I think when he missed the cut at the RBC Heritage, that took a little bit of a dip, and maybe it comes back now. But the funny thing about Fitzpatrick is he plays these hard golf courses really well, but you don't feel like he has enough to win on them. And so you think, well, can Matt Fitzpatrick win at Riviera? Well, no, I mean, no. Right off the top of your head, you'd say probably not. He probably doesn't have the game to win at Riviera. Yet that's a course where he plays very well. And so it's a unique situation where he plays well, and he plays well in some majors. He plays well on hard golf courses, but you don't feel like he has enough to win there. And that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, I'm just going straight NBA tonight, but it's a little bit like Bradley Beal averaging 27 a game and the Wizards winning like 40 games. You're like, well, I get that. And I get that it's, I'm talking about a team event, but it's almost like the stats don't mean as much if you don't, like, I don't, his lack of winning makes me care a lot less about his strokes gain.
Yeah. And it's fair. But look, I mean, he's only 27 years old and he continues to put himself in position. But, there's something, I agree. It appears when you watch him, there seems to be something missing. Maybe that might be a great analogy, KP.
Rory McIlroy, the defending champion and 3-time winner of this event, almost made a run at it again, gents. Finishes in solo 5th, 4 shots back. KP, Rory made the cut on the number and then kind of charged up the leaderboard here and at least gave us, I don't want to say half a scare. He gave us like a 1/10 of a scare.
Yeah, there was not. It would have taken a miracle on the weekend. I think only Cam Young had a better weekend scoring number than him.
I can tell you right now. Let's see. Over the weekend, Cam Young gained 9.8 strokes. Rory gained 8.8, so that would be correct.
Okay, so he was great on the weekend. I mean, this tournament is a little bit emblematic of his major issues, which is he has that one bad round, right? If he doesn't have the one bad second round, he's, maybe beats Homa, maybe is in a playoff, maybe finishes one back or whatever. I think Rory's hitting the ball actually really well, even though he almost missed the cut. If you look at, and I think this is where strokes gained is really interesting. So he wins Wells Fargo last year going into the PGA at Kiowa, and everybody's like, oh, Rory Kiowa, probably win by 3. And he didn't. He finished T49, but he actually hit the ball a lot better this year at the Wells Fargo. And so you're like, okay, wait a second. I need to look past wins and losses as you're projecting things out and say, how's he hitting the ball? And Justin Ray did the article earlier this week about how bad Rory's been from 50 to 125. You and I talked about it really briefly, Rick. Yes. Essentially his proximity to the hole was like 24 feet for the year, which is horrible compared to the PGA Tour average. This week it was 17 feet and he was 2 under from that distance. Whereas for the entire season, he's been 3 over. So he was a lot better from those distances. He talked after his round about, or he talked after his week about how much better he's hitting his approach shots, which I tend to agree with, but also, again, you're doing it on a soft course. It's not Southern Hills. It's not Augusta, but I think you can, he led the field from tee to green at Augusta. He was 9th here or 8th or something like that. So I think there is momentum going into the PGA Championship. He dug himself too big of a hole on Friday to ever get out of it this week on the weekend.
Advanced metrics look good though, Greg. Gained 4 strokes off the tee, 4.5 on approach. He gained another 3 with the putter. That I will be nothing but excited about Rory McIlroy moving forward.
Hey, he plays a 16-hole stretch in 6 under par, 17-hole stretch in 7 under par. I mean, there's a lot of momentum there. There's a lot that he can take away and say, all right, I've got some things figured out. I had a few rough patches. It was some crazy weather out there for a while, which can have it can have an effect. Get a couple of mud balls, some water there you go. Water between the it's really challenging conditions. Rory in a major, I think his performance at Southern Hills will have less to do with the advanced metrics and more to do with the way he tacks the golf course. And if we can get something like we did in the first couple rounds at Augusta, where he played really smart and maybe get a couple putts to fall, he could be there. I mean, Rory is in great form. He's swinging really well right now. I see a lot of positives from him, and I love what he did on the greens this week. So I'm up on Rory, at least from where he is confidence wise. I think some questions heading into a major that loom go beyond the numbers, which is why he's so hard to handicap. How's he going to do in the first round? That's the big question.
I'm way in with Greg on this because I think that, he's you could argue it's the best he's hit the ball going into kind of the summertime in several years. I mean, he's hitting it great. He's driving it really well. He had a couple drives that he hit in the water this week that led to some bad strokes gain numbers, but just throughout the last few months, he's hit the ball. He hit it really well at Augusta. But the thing for me, and he said this at the Masters, I don't know what his game plan is going into majors, and I don't know if he knows what it is. Right? Because how has he won all his majors, Craig? By shooting 66 in round 1, 65 in round 1. Right.
Lighting it up, winning by 8, winning by 4. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's how he wins his majors. And yet at Augusta, he's like, well, you got to play conservative. You can't take yourself out of it early. And I just don't, those two things are hard to reconcile. Like, I don't know what to do with those two realities, that's not how you've won your majors. And yet that's what you think you need to do going into, and I want to ask him about it to be fair. Is that just an Augusta thing? Is that all majors? I want to, if I'm in the press conference at Southern Hills, I'm going to ask him, like, what is your strategy going into majors? Because Justin Ray's got the stat of like first round versus rounds 2 through 4, and it's not pretty. And so I think Greg is spot on that, like, the numbers are awesome. If you watch him, it looks awesome. He's putting it great. But mentally, is there a good game plan going into the PGA Championship?
I will say at the Masters, I think he executed his game plan brilliantly, with the exception of, he missed four putts inside of like 6 feet, if I remember correctly, and he gave too many shots away. But that wasn't a strategy thing. At least in this one instance, it was a short putting thing. And so if he can squeeze something out of his round, I think he's in form that's plenty good to win a major. There's no question.
He also beat everybody other than Scheffler by like 3. So
right.
It was I bet he had a better strokes gain number at this year's Masters than Tiger did when he won the 2019 Masters. So some of that just comes down to luck and how other guys are playing and whatever. You could probably look that up, huh, Rick?
I'm going to look it up right now.
Tiger's strokes gain number in 2019 when he won was not good. It should not have.
14.4 was Rory this year.
I think Tiger was like 12.
14.4. Tiger was 2019 Masters 12. KP. Correct. Yeah, Rory was 2.5 strokes better.
Isn't that crazy?
God, stupid game.
It's an idiotic game. You shouldn't win a major when you're 12 strokes better.
That's why the cliche is the cliche. You know, that's why it's so hard to win. It's hard to win on the PGA. That's why.
What a shame. It's not so hard to win best bets, although maybe for us it kind of is. We'll get to those on the other side. I was just looking for a segue. We'll do our one and done update. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. I'm watching the Sunday night baseball game, and I realized that everybody's using the pink bats, Kyle. Could you imagine if everybody like
pink clubs,
like a pink driver?
Yeah, that's a very well. They had the pink top tracer today, which was a great touch.
Yeah, but golfers are too mental. Like you could just easily just go for pink grips. Just choose the same grips, turn them pink. But like these golfers are too. Could you imagine if you didn't play well with that? You'd never be the same afterwards.
Yeah,
you could do like pink shoelaces. Something.
I think it's actually interesting that baseball players aren't too superstitious to use pink bats.
162 games. You go for 3 tonight, you get another crack at it tomorrow.
Are you pretty locked in on the baseball season?
Not as much as I used to be. I'm like a 4 out of 10.
I'm reading. Yeah, I'm like a 1 out of 10 now. Each progressive kid has knocked that down another number. But Joe Pita, who does a lot of golf analysis and betting now, he wrote a book in like 2011. Have you heard of this book? Have you read it?
Yeah, Trading Bases, right?
Yeah, it's really good about betting on baseball. I'm in the middle of it, and it's super. I mean, I'm not gonna bet on baseball, but it's just super interesting to look at, just to analyze a sport that it's got so much data, and it makes me think about golf and about how much room there is to grow in like data analytics, not even for like betting, but just for like the common fan over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, we are probably so baseball is like Moneyball. So that was what, like early 2000s, right? When
that was when I was in high school, I think like 03.
Okay, so that was 20 years ago. We are like in the 2007 equivalent of that right now for golf.
Yeah,
we're not even close to the boom yet. But like we're getting better, but there's still so much that we.
Well, and strokes gained is a little bit like OPS, where when people in 2004 were like, what's OPS? I'm a batting average guy, like RBIs or where it's at, and you're like, well, actually, let me show you why that's not correct.
I like my pitchers who win games.
Yeah. Yeah. Walter Johnson once threw 900 innings in a season. You're like, oh, cool. I don't think that works.
You know how many fairways Calvin Pete hit back in 1989?
Exactly.
That's exactly it.
Right. So do you think what's more unbreakable? Cy Young's 500 and whatever wins?
11.
Or 511?
Yeah.
Or Tiger Woods what should we pick? Consecutive cuts streak?
No, I think it's the
strokes gained per round.
Yeah. Beating the field.
80
I think it was
rounds.
89 or 90, something like that.
Yeah, which one's more unbreakable?
Well, I would have to say the Cy Young. I think with pitch counts and the limited schedule, I don't know if anybody's gonna. You know what they did with like Steven Strasburg, right? Remember that?
Yeah, they ruined him.
You're not going to let him play. You got a star. It feels like, and I'm a 0 on the baseball scale, but I'll listen to some of the talk on the radio, New York radio. And it's so funny to hear him talk about it.
New York sports talk
radio.
Oh,
it's great. Every once in a while I get it. If I'm not listening to golf radio, New York sports radio is hysterical.
Are the Aaron Judge takes just off the charts?
Yeah, tons. There's a lot of Aaron Judge, but we know he's really good. So the thing is, what are we doing with pitchers, and are we into analytics, or are we going to accept analytics or not? Aaron Boone, all he does is go on analytics. No, but he's actually a great manager. The Yankees are trying to win. The Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. Yeah, but they make the playoffs. Oh, Cashman needs to go. They can't win. Well, yeah, but he makes them a lot of money. It's so
That's
funny.
sweet.
The
I love
sides.
it.
You know how many teams would love a 13-year World Series drought? Like all of them would love that.
Right.
If it was 2000. Okay, let me workshop this thought for you. So, I think the Cy Young one will be broken because
No.
hear me out. I'm workshopping this. Tommy John surgery 20 years ago. Like if you had that injury, your career was over, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a common surgery, and these guys come back sometimes even better than they were prior to the surgery, right? We're agreeing so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of that. Yeah.
So we will get to the point where you can get like an arm replacement, or you could get like a bionic arm, or like that, 100 years from now, they're just going to like give you a new arm and you can have a new arm every single day. And then these guys will just pitch every single day, and then someone will break the record.
So have like metal arms out there?
Well, or just like, they'll just be able to go in, surgery will take 3 seconds and you'll heal in 4 hours, and you'll just be repaired. You just go right back at it again.
You'll have like a 220-year-old Elon Musk throwing like 1,200 innings a year.
Yeah. He just piles up dubs.
My friends and I have actually talked about getting our sons pre-Tommy John, PTJ.
Yeah. See? Smart.
It's almost like preventative maintenance. Producer Jacob.
I just needed to come in and say I think the USGA announced that we're playing Pinehurst that same year that the first bionicle arm is making major league debut.
The odds are good that is true.
We finally found something that could summon producer Jacob in from just nothing.
I like a veteran Charlie Woods in that one, by the way.
For the bionic arm, or for the
for that Pinehurst US Open.
We're already handicapping the field for that year. I like that take. I think the beating the field for 89 straight rounds is preposterous.
Yes, and that one's sick because the field's always like everyone's going to get better together, so no one's ever going to do that.
You can't ever like have you can't even have like an average day.
You can't even get the wrong end of a really bad draw and have a good day. Like you can't even be on the wrong end of the player's draw, gain like gain a shot on your wave and still lose to the field.
So that's what is that? 23 straight events or something. So it's a full year of every single round you gain. That's stupid.
It's impossible.
But do you think there's going to be another? We have legends that do these unthinkable things in every era.
So I've been thinking about this a lot, Greg, because I've been reading a lot of like golf history books. I've read some Tom Callahan. He wrote the Arnie book. He wrote a Tiger book. He wrote a chapter in a book that I just read called Gods at Play about Tiger. And I'm so fascinated with this concept of who's the next in the line of Jack and Tiger. And I don't know who it is. It's not anybody, I don't think, that's currently playing, right?
Yeah, I don't either.
Rory was the one that was talked about, and then Spieth, kinda, I guess. But there's going to be somebody that that's maybe like 3 years old or 11 years old or not even born or whatever. And I'm obsessed with like knowing who that is over the next however many years. I just think that, I mean, nobody knew who Tiger was when he was, well, I guess they did when he was like 3, but
he was 2. Nobody knew.
Yeah, exactly. When he was 1, I mean, he was just like, anonymous basically. So I'm obsessed with that idea, and I can't wait to find it out and to see who that is and how it goes.
Do you think if LeBron James would have played golf, like LeBron could do it? Like LeBron is just physically mental. He's just way better than everybody else in his era. For
Well, that's
20 years.
That's the Bryson take, right? Is he has said there's not a lot of advancement other than like a 7-footer swinging it like ball speed of like 230.
Right. And Bryson tried to get himself as close to that as he could, but like he's not gifted with it, right? He's
right.
If he
but
was,
there's like the guy like James Hart-Dupree's.
Yeah.
You know, he's 6'10", and if he had this crazy talent, Tiger Woods like talent at that size, he wouldn't have to go through all the the steps that Bryson did to change his body to get there.
Yeah, so if you get like Andre Drummond or like Joel Embiid or somebody like that,
yeah,
right,
where we've talked a lot of NBA today, where like they're physically gifted in ways that nobody has been. I mean, Tiger was physically gifted, but his body was like, he was so thin, you know, like if you could get somebody that's like 6'8" or 6'11", like Dirk, that could actually like have that whippiness with his swing and then like develop a short game, that would be, I think that feels like the next frontier. Like that feels like the next thing.
Getting little like sawed off 7-irons from 250.
That'd be sick.
You know,
can't wait for that.
Like that Max Homa swing where it's just it's so controlled, but it just goes miles.
The capper for this week is Joel Embiid and the Sixers win tonight. That'll be a great weekend. Let me get through these best bets here very quickly. Coach lost his Tony Finau top 10. That was plus 250. Mark lost his top Swede. He had Henrik Norlander. It was actually David Lingmerth finished T46. Norlander finished T59. KP, you actually got you got a dirty little push here because you had Keith Mitchell over Webb Simpson and Mark Leishman. All three of them. See ya. Did not make the weekend. That's a push.
Yeah. Webb has had kind of a concerning year, 2 years, year and a half.
I'm more worried about this year than I was last. It was just like weird, and we saw at least flashes. But I'm kind of worried about Webb.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, just the whole bet was not good. Just terrible.
Well, it's all right. You get your money back on that one. I did the thing where you pick the guy who wins the golf tournament to just beat one other guy. Max Homa over Matt Kuchar minus 130. So I guess it worked, but you know, I should have just said, what was the event that you said? What was the two bets you made? Colin Morikawa wins the Open Championship and John Rahm finishes top 10 or something like that.
I think that I definitely had Morikawa winning the Open back when we used to make like 5 bets or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I had Rahm like top 5 or top 10 too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was when there was a 100 unit limit.
Yes.
And you just went with 2. You just went with 2.
Oh, that's right. I did.
Yeah.
You're right.
You used to, because you had that history of having like 38.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'll put 3 units on this and then 11 on this. Yeah, and that one I just went Morikawa and one other, and I made like 700 units.
One and done. And wow, we made some cash this week. Unfortunately, a lot of us made too much cash. So Sia Nejad now firmly in the basement. Missed cut with Sepp Straka. Sorry, KP.
Oh.
You got $681,000 from Cam Young with a runner-up finish. The good news, you are now way ahead of Sia. You have made like $2 million in your last, 6 or 8 starts. You are on a great run. The only concern for this week is that I got T2 money. Mark got T2 money. The fans got 5th place money. But all in all, you've got to be happy about the last, 6 weeks or so.
I'm happy about doubling up the fans who had Rory. I guess not quite doubling up, but that feels great. I'm going to have to pull a bunch of Cam Youngs out of my butt over the next 3 months, though, because that's about all I've got left, which is problematic. I do have, again, I've got DJ Brooks and Spieth for the majors. So I feel solid about that.
Yeah, you win 2 of those, you win the whole thing. I had Matt Fitzpatrick, 681,000 as well. We split, so 3 guys tying for second. You split second, third, and 4th place money. So it's 681. I'm nipping at the heels of the fans now. They had Rory McIlroy, 5th place alone, 369,000. Greg and Coach. This was, I guess, a pretty big disappointment. Tony Finau, 33,750. Not great, Greg.
Yeah, I'm highlighting the done aspect of one and done this week. I'm just so disappointed in Tony. I had such high hopes. I really thought there was something good brewing, and it looked good after the first 2 days too. He was sitting at 2-1. I mean, it was perfect for him, and it went sideways. I think he was like 7 over the weekend. Just despicable. And so many great options. Like Max Homa was just the play this week. I was all over him, and I didn't play him in one and done. I don't get it. So I'm disappointed in Tony. I'm disappointed in myself. But I'm happy to still be in fourth and somewhat in the mix, I guess.
Oh, yeah, you're in the mix here. Coach, also with Tony Finau, Jacob. Did you know that you were cooked when Sia flipped over Sepp Straka and you had Sepp Straka as well?
Yeah, here's the issue was Sia sent me in a different name, and then he was just like, oh, wait, actually, can I take Sepp Straka? And I should have just let him take his original name. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that would have been that would have changed things.
And Greg was on that thread too, so he can confirm that on Tuesday, I did inform Sia that I would take all the credit if Straka played well, but Sia had to take all the blame if Straka did not perform this week. So all of this firmly lies with Sia, who is a confirmed mush for the one and done league.
And he was ready for that. He was prepared to accept it. But let's just say that switch cost $681,000.
Oh,
so it was a tough switch. Oh, we don't need to, yeah, it was tough.
He just sent me a message and said, "Have I taken Keegan?"
That sucks.
So
that's a tough scene.
Unfortunate for all of us.
I'm so glad the fans only got 370 out of Rory. They almost got 0.
Well, when he was like 5 under, but they almost got 1.6 million, which is what I thought they were at 7 holes in.
Yeah, Thursday morning it was looking scary.
Yeah, the fans can pound sand. I mean, after they tune in and watch the show, but then after that, they can pound sand.
If you can hear me telling you to pound sand, thank you, but also pound sand.
Yes.
Yeah, you can pound sand, hit that like button, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on Apple.
Just go pound everything.
That's pretty funny. Mark did go with Keegan, and he got 681, which I guess is better than 1.6 million. But gents, he does kind of extend a little bit here on Jacob and Coach and Greg. He's at 6.7 million. This is the first sizable hit he's had in the calendar year. So hopefully it does not spur a lot of great decision making moving forward.
Yeah, we need a little lull. We need him to go into prevent defense here. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I know. And this kind of pop just it makes him. Well, let's just hope it makes him comfortable. That's what we want. We want him feeling real comfortable up there. So I don't think anybody can catch him at this point.
You are just trying to reverse jinx it. Of course, we can all catch him at this point. There's 3 major championships left. There's like 2 more invitationals. There's 3 playoff events. Of course,
I want comfort. I want comfort. Let's make Mark feel very comfortable.
I love the infighting of the fans who
they are eating each other alive.
who didn't like. Who are just so angry about taking Rory this week. Next week, they'll probably take Scheffler and just be like, booting each other out of chats and just pissed off. It's phenomenal. There's a cancer in the clubhouse. I don't know who it is. It's somebody different every week, but they've got problems.
Someone said we got to get in the Discord together and chat this out so we're all on the same page. They're looking for an alternative communication.
Yeah,
it sounds like Lord of the Flies. Like who's got the conch?
It's amazing. Real quick, gentlemen, we are headed to Texas. KP, we're headed your direction. Byron Nelson, and because of the scheduling, because of the proximity, great little field. 7 of the top 15 players in the world. A little bit of a appetizer leading into the PGA Championship the following week.
Yeah, I'm pumped about the next 2 weeks. It's the first time that Scheffler and Spieth will be playing in individual events since their last wins. So since Scotty won the Masters, he played Zurich, obviously, but then Spieth since he won the RBC Heritage. So it'll be a fun couple weeks for those guys. JT's playing. I don't remember him ever playing the Byron Nelson before, at least not in the last few years. And then DJ and Brooks. Brooks played it, I believe, in 2019 before he won at Bethpage. I think he finished T4 that year.
Might have been solo fourth.
Trinity Forest. Yeah, it might have been solo fourth. But yeah, next few weeks are going to be great. I'm driving up to the PGA shortly after the Byron Nelson, and I'm pumped. It's a fun time of year. These next two tournaments will be fantastic.
TPC Craig Ranch, Greg, we've got 1 year worth of data, and they scorched it. 25 under par was the winning score, broke the tournament scoring record. I'm not sure what type of defenses they can put up or if we're expecting to see the same this time around.
Yeah, TPC Lee getting a big win last time. Sam Burns was in the mix, which was he played great and should be another factor. So we'll see. I expect some low scores again. This is a good time of year for it, seemingly in Texas. It seems like this tournament has been wherever it's held, they torch it. So it'll be fun. Very different field than this week, and it'll be a different field than Southern Hills the week after. But it'll be great to see these guys trying to get the engines going heading into PGA.
Hell of a show, gents. Enjoyed it. Enjoy the weekend. Any final thoughts before we get out of here and turn the page? Because we've got Monday DFS preview, Tuesday mega preview pod, round by round recaps after each and every round next week. Anything before we go?
Do we have an NBA show?
Yeah, we're just gonna start a new live. We're just gonna go live for the Sixers game here in 15 minutes.
That's great. What game is it? Game 4? Game 3?
Game 4.
What's this count? Miami 2-1?
2-1, but it's 1-0 Sixers in games that Joel Embiid plays, which feels important.
Is he going to be the MVP?
No, Jokic is going to be the MVP, and it's a scam. Total scam.
Oh, it feels like we got another 30 minutes going right here.
No, but I will leave you with this. Joel Embiid started playing basketball like 7 years ago. That's insane, right? It's just
That's crazy. Again, like just my time for other sports is low, but I have watched some of the Grizzlies Warriors. Ja Morant is a freak. He is unbelievable.
He's awesome.
He's so good. He's so fun too. Like I just want to watch him play basketball.
I just want to watch him jump. Every time he jumps, I never know when he's going to land.
He's awesome.
Nick, all I can say, Knicks fans were pissed they didn't get him.
Yeah,
you want to talk about NBA Sports Radio?
Sports Talk Radio for Knicks.
That draft
is probably great.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to VPN into New York Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, absolute blast. Producer Jacob does all the hard work behind the scenes. Thank you very much. You can find Greg DuCharme on Twitter at The Real GFD. You can find Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.